Welcome and good afternoon. This is Commish Orr, and today we are playing a game on opening day of my Payoff Pitch Season 2 League. It is a home uh, home created league, not an actual league or anything like that, or using real teams. It's a draft league, basically. This is season 2. I created season 1 or completed season 1 last year, I think, at some point. It's a 1/3 of a season, 54 games between 8 teams that you see here. Uh, four teams in each league, 4 American League and 4 National League teams. 3 of the 4 teams in each league are made up of Hall of Famers. And the 4th team is made up of players not in the Hall of Fame, either because they have recently retired and they're not eligible, or in some cases, because they aren't voted in or they won't be voted in because of the past. You know, Pete Rose is on the non Hall of Fame team, for example, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the setup. You can actually find videos where I talk more in depth about the setup. There's even a trailer for the league. If you head over to baseballmaelstrom.com, you can kind of follow all of the action of this league and the other project that I have going on, which is the Best of 30s tournament using season ticket baseball. But this one is Payoff Pitch, using Payoff Pitch. And so I've played 3 of the 4 games on opening day, and we're ready for game number 4. Let's see what happened in the first 3 games, though. Very first game I played was the Boston Splinters facing off against the Oakland Jacks. I did create all of the teams, so they're all custom teams with logos and all of that fun stuff. It's not like the Boston Red Sox, though I did use the colors of these teams. And it's not the Oakland Athletics, but it's the Boston Splinters and Oakland Jacks. And we had Nolan Ryan facing off against Gaylord Perry on opening day. And Nolan Ryan pitched a complete game shutout, 3-hitter in this one. He did walk 4, but he struck out 8. He had Boston kind of off balance the whole game. Ted Williams is on that Boston team. He went 0 for 4, for example. Struck out a couple of times. And even grounded into a double play there in the 6th inning. Now, meanwhile, Oakland kind of had their way with Gaylord Perry. They scored in the 2nd with a Mickey Cochran double. There was a bases or a two-run triple by Jimmy Fox here in the 3rd. But then in the 6th, they really did it. They actually batted around that inning. You had a bases loaded double from Eddie Collins that scored 3. And when the dust settled, Oakland won this one 9-0. Heading over to the game between the Los Angeles Dynamos and the Houston Hoots. This was Sandy Koufax facing off against Bob Gibson, and it was a high-scoring affair. Gibson actually allowed 5 home runs. He allowed 8 all of last season, and he allowed 5 just in this game. So he just kind of ran into some bad luck, I guess you would say. There's a solo shot to Cristobal Torriente. He's a Negro League player there in the 1st inning. He allowed 2 2-run shots in the 2nd. Ralph Kiner had one of those. Tony Gwynn actually had another one, believe it or not. And then Todd Helton hit a solo shot in the 3rd. He did calm down for a few innings, but then in the 7th, he allowed a leadoff homer to Gary Carter, and that was the end of Gibson's day. All in all, Gibson allowed 7 earned runs in 6 innings. But Houston actually just kept chipping away at that lead that LA had, and against Koufax. And so they scored a couple of runs in the 3rd. They scored a run in the 5th, a couple more runs in the 6th, thanks to an Eddie Matthews home run. And then they scored a couple runs in the 7th to tie things up at 7 apiece. But then in the top of the 8th, Ralph Kiner hit his 2nd home run of the game, another 2-run shot, this time off of Jesse Haynes. And that was all that LA would need. They'd win this one 9-7. Interesting to note that Ralph Kiner he did play actually for LA in season 1. And he was actually on the bench that season and he didn't hit a home run all year. So here he has 2 already in game 1. So interesting storylines taking place in the season so far. Finally, we head over to Detroit, where the New York Swats were taking on the Detroit Rockets. And this was a close battle between Bob Feller and Roger Clemens. Detroit, the team made up of non-Hall of Famers, by the way. The reigning World Series champions, they topped the St. Louis Wizards in Season 1 to take the championship. And in this one, they come out early with a 3-0 lead before Joe Mauer, who just joined the league after being inducted into the Hall of Fame, joined the Hall of Fame New York Swats, hit a solo shot there in the 5th. And then New York scored another run in the 6th, thanks to a triple by Harry Heilman. And finally, after Detroit had scored 2 more runs in the 7th, thanks to a Dick Allen homer, they had a 5-2 lead at that point. In the 8th, they got a couple of those runs back when Joe DiMaggio hit a 2-run double to cut the lead to 5-4. That took us to the 9th when Tom Henke came in to close things out for Detroit, but allowed another solo home run to Joe Mauer. So Mauer, in his first game of the league, hits 2 home runs and goes 3 for 5. That tied the game there in the 9th, sent us to extra innings, and it was in the bottom of the 11th when another newcomer to the league, Miguel Cabrera, who recently retired, hit a walk-off single to score Alex Rodriguez and take this one for Detroit 6-5 in the 11th inning. Now, Cabrera had struck out 3 times prior to that, but he did come through when it mattered most. So Detroit, back to their winning ways. Which brings us to today's game. Today's game is between let me pull it up here. Between the St. Louis Wizards and the Chicago Docks. St. Louis was the National League champ last year. They came into the World Series as heavy favorites, but lost to the Detroit Rockets. They'll face off against last year's last place team, the Chicago Docks. Now, other than the non-Hall of Fame teams, which Chicago Docks are a non-Hall of Fame team, by the way, the Hall of Fame teams did have their lineups redrafted. So they each did keep a couple of key players, but the rest were redrafted. So a lot of the rosters are a little different this year. So St. Louis comes in with a different roster than last year. Chicago, though, being made up of non-Hall of Famers, is pretty much the same roster as last year. So that's just, I guess, a little item of note. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for the St. Louis Wizards. Leading off will be Joe Morgan playing second base. Stan Musial will be in left field batting second. Larry Walker in right field batting third. Duke Snider will be DHing today, batting in the cleanup spot. Willie Mays batting fifth in center field. The other Willie McCovey at first base batting sixth. Mike Schmidt will be batting seventh at third base. Negro Leaguer Pop Lloyd batting eighth at shortstop. And batting ninth will be Mike Piazza and catching for St. Louis. On the mound for St. Louis is Steve Carlton. Carlton was a force to be reckoned with last year in the first season of this league. A great pitcher that was probably one of the reasons that St. Louis stayed in first place throughout the season. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Chicago Docks. We have Lonnie Fry DHing batting first. Keith Hernandez at first base batting second. Sammy Sosa batting third in right field. Barry Bonds in left field batting in the cleanup spot. Buster Posey batting fifth at catcher. Jimmy Rollins at shortstop batting sixth. Jeff Kent is batting seventh at second base. We have Ken Boyer playing third base and batting eighth. And finally, Jim Edmonds in center field batting ninth. And on the mound for the Chicago Docs is the Doc himself, Dwight Gooden. All right, we are playing in Wrigley Field. By the way, the 2001 version of Wrigley Field is our home stadium for the Chicago Docs, and we are ready for the first pitch. I do use a die roller, an XL die roller that I created for this. So, and I also use, I took ID Jester's running chart, if you're familiar with the running chart that ID Jester created, and I tweaked it a little bit, just a little bit. And so that's what I use for a runner advancement and that kind of thing. If you're interested to know why I'm making some of the decisions I'm making, I do use the auto steal as well, so I'll be using that. But let's get right to it here with the first pitch. That is going to be a patient result, 22, and Morgan starts the game with a leadoff walk. He has a steal of 5, or a jump rating of 5, but a 6, so he's not going anywhere. That brings up Stan the Man. That's going to be a tough 52, a righty tough 52, and that is a grounder to third, below both double play ratings, and just like that, we have erased that base runner, and we have 2 outs as Muso grounds into the double play. Boyer to Kent to Hernandez. Round the horn. Brings up Larry Walker. Base is now empty. Patient 62, and Walker's going to drill that one into the gap for a double. He's into second standing up. So Good, not quite able to get out of this inning totally unscathed. And we will, that brings up the cleanup hitter, Duke Snyder. Tough 71, and that's just above Snyder's base hit range in the tough category. And that's going to be a ground out short, and that will end the inning. So, St. Louis gets a base hit, ground into a double play to erase one of the other base runners, but they aren't able to score, and that brings up the Chicago Docs facing off against Steve Carlton. Carlton was 27-10 with a 1.97 ERA. Of course, this is his 1972 season. Let's see how he fares against this non-Hall of Fame team. Patient 82, and he's a lefty. I gotta remember that. That's going to be a fly out to center. Willie Mays is there to haul that one in, and we have 1 down. Keith Hernandez to the plate. That's a tough 15, and he strikes him out. Hernandez goes down swinging for out number 2. Brings up Sammy Sosa. Sosa had 64 homers that year. Of course, it's 2001 season for him. That's going to be in play, but 0-0. So we're going to have a rare play with nobody on base, and I'll use this 79 here, the next one in the next dice in order here. So we're going to look at rare play 79 with no runners. Runners empty. And it was an in play. Base is empty. In play. 79, did I say? I did say 79. All right. Batter hits a slow roller to first base, who fields the ball and throws the pitcher covering the base. Batter and the pitcher collide, knocking both players to the ground. So we're going to roll a D6. I'll take the next D6 down. If it's less than the E rating, the batter's called out. Otherwise, he's safe on an infield single. So 2 is less than the E rating of 3. So, let's see here. So the batter is going to be called out on a 3-1. Now we got to check both players for injury. So, let me put 3-1 in here. And then I'm going to roll for an injury. This is very interesting. Game 1. Here we are in Game 1, and we're going to look at an injury. I will start with Carlton first. Carlton is an injury rating of iron, so he's probably going to be okay. And let's see here. 0. So he's going to remain in the game. Yes, he is okay and not injured. Now we're going to check for an injury to Sosa. Sosa is also iron. I'm just going to go next in order. 52. I think he's going to be okay too. 52. He is also going to remain in the game. So there is a little collision there at first base, but neither player is injured or has to be removed from the game. Fortunate for both these teams. Would have been a jolt to either of them to lose those guys. All right, so that brings us to the top of the second. We have Willie Mays facing off against Gooden here. And we have a defense. Shortstop error check. Rollins is a 3 error rating. That's going to be an error. It's going to be a one-base error here. Rollins bobbles that one, not able to hold on to it. And that puts Willie Mays on first. He does have a steal jump rating of 4, so not enough to go here. Brings up Willie McCovey. 8 is an in-play 57. And he's going to fly out to left field. Bonds is under that one and hauls it in for out number 1. And Mays isn't going anywhere on that one. Mike Schmidt to the plate. That's a tough 54, and he strikes him out. Schmidt down on strikes, and that's 2 down here in the second inning. Pop Lloyd steps in. See if he can keep things going. That's another defense check. It's going to be a pitcher range check. He has a range of D, 1 to 57, and that's going to be a 2-base single here. Right up the middle, and Gooden not able to come up with it. Mays over to third. And 7 jump with an 8 running rating means he is going to maybe attempt here. So 40, we have his steal is 4. Never mind, scratch that. His jump is 4, and this is a 7, so he's not going to get a jump. Mike Piazza steps to the plate. That's going to be a ballpark check. This could be danger. Right-handed batter, that's a wheelhouse, 74. That's going to be another 2-base single. Mays is going to score on this one, and Lloyd's going to go over to third on the 2-base hit. And we have runners on the corner still with 2 down. Piazza not going anywhere, but we're back to the top of the order with Joe Morgan. Patient 47, and he walks it for the second time. Bases are now loaded. Gooden hoping to get out of this one. Stan Musial steps to the plate. He grounded that double play in the first inning. Tough 54. This time he is going to ground out to third. And Boyer will take it to the bag himself. Well, he'll just throw to first on that one. So, only one, Wizards only able to get 1 run out of that. Couple more base hits. 1 unearned run at that. So we have Carlton facing off against Barry Bonds to lead off the second. Tough 67. And Bonds is grounding out to short with this one. Lloyd over to McCovey at first for out number 1. Buster Posey to the plate. In play 27. And that's a base hit. Base hit into left field there for Buster Posey. He is not going anywhere. He doesn't have hardly any speed. Jimmy Rollins steps to the plate. Patient 94. Well, that's going to be way too high for that. Rollins gets under it a little too much, and Larry Walker will be there for out number 2. Jeff Kent to the plate. 2 down, runner on first. That's a tough 12, and he strikes out Jeff Kent. Kent takes a swing, not able to make contact here, and just like that, we are through 2 innings here. We go to the top of the third. St. Louis still on top 1-0. Larry Walker steps up. Tough 49, and Walker's going to get a base hit here. Walker now 2 for 2 in this game. His jump is a 4, so he's not going anywhere this time. Duke Snyder to the plate. Patient 32, and Snyder draws the walk. Gooden just not in a good rhythm in this game. We have runners on first and second now with Willie Mays coming to the plate. He reached on that error in the last inning. Gooden just trying to get out of this one. Tough 7, and he strikes out Willie Mays for out number 1. Willie McCovey steps in. Wizards hoping to capitalize on some base runners here. Tough 84. And a 6 is less, and that's going to be an inning-ending double play, 4-6-3. And Gooden able to pitch out of that. And St. Louis cannot score any more runs, so they get no runs, 1 more hit, though. And we head to the bottom of the third. Carlton facing off against Ken Boyer. Tough 8, and he strikes out Boyer. Boyer watches strike 3 go by. On 8s, 9s, and 0s, I say it is a strikeout looking, by the way. It brings up Jim Edmonds. Edmonds batting 9th against a lefty here. You may wonder why Edmonds is in the number 9 spot. He doesn't do so hot against lefties. But he's in the lineup because he's better than the alternative, I believe. Tough 40, and that's strikeout number 2 for Carlton. Another one looking here. That's his 4th strikeout of the game. Does get Chicago back to the top of the order with Lonnie Fry here. In play, 84. And that's an easy grounder to second base. Morgan throws over to McCovey at first, and that is 3 up, 3 down for Chicago. We head to the top of the 4th, still 1-0. Mike Schmidt facing off against Gooden. Tough 47, and he strikes out Schmidt. It's Gooden's 3rd strikeout of the game. 2 of those to Mike Schmidt. Schmidt struck out in his first at bat as well. Pop Lloyd. It's going to be a ballpark check. 70 is going to be an in-play result. Or, excuse me, 60 is going to be an in-play result. 70 is going to be a ground out to short. Rollins over to Hernandez for out number 2. Piazza steps to the plate. 3, patient 55. Oh, just beyond Piazza's range here. And he grounds out to 3rd. That's going to be 3 up, 3 down for St. Louis. It's just what Gooden needed here, maybe to get him back on track. So we hit the bottom of 4. St. Louis still up 1-0. Keith Hernandez facing off against Carlton. Tough 64. That's lifted to left. Musial under it for out number 1. Sammy Sosa steps in. Tough 82. And he grounds to short. Lloyd with an easy play on that one. That's out number 2. Barry Bonds steps to the plate. In play, 86. That's another ground out, this time to Morgan. And that's another 3 up, 3 down inning for Chicago. Carlton's kind of cruising at this point. We head to the top of 5 and the top of the St. Louis lineup with Joe Morgan, who's walked both of his times up. And he's drawing another walk. Morgan, all 3 times he's been up, he's walked. Not taking a chance on a steal this time. Stan Musial steps in. Tough 20, and that one is in down the line in the corner. It's going to be trouble. And Stan's going to pull into third base, sliding. Morgan around easily. And just like that, St. Louis has scored another run and threatening another one. Larry Walker steps in with Stan on third. Patient 39, and a Walker is going to walk. Gooden's had some trouble with his control today. Puts runners on the corners here. Duke Snyder steps up. He walked in his last at bat. Defense playing straight up here for the double play. Tough 47, and he strikes out Snyder. It's Gooden's fourth strikeout of the game. Willie Mays steps in. Mays does not ground into too many double plays. In play 95, and that's going to be a fly out to left. Bonds there in left, and I believe that's going to score him. Let's see here. It was an in play. Fly out advance to home. And to left, 6+, which it is. That is going to be a sac fly to left here. Stan's going to score. Walker's going to remain on first. And just like that, it's 3-0 now. But Chicago does get another out, which is what they desperately also needed. And Willie McCovey. Patient 67. It's going to be a base hit for McCovey here. Base hit to right. And Walker is a 6. So let's see, 2 outs. Single first to third, 2 outs, hit to right, 6. Yep, so that'll be a base hit that's going to push Walker over to third with 2 down. St. Louis Wizards still threatening here. Mike Schmidt at the plate. Tough 94. That's going to be high enough for Chicago. As a 94 will be another fly out to left. Bonds hauls this one down for out number 3, but not before St. Louis gets a couple more runs to extend their lead to 3-0. Bottom of 5, Carlton facing off against Posey. Patient 6, that's going to be a walk. So Posey able to draw the walk here to get their leadoff runner aboard. Brings up Jimmy Rollins. Tough 38. Rollins with a good eye here and drills a double into the gap. Posey with no speed, though. So a double first to home does not matter. With his speed, it doesn't matter where it's going. He's not going to score. But does threaten here with runners on second and third now. Jeff Kent to the plate, no outs. St. Louis with a 3-run lead. They are not playing in here. In play 63. Fly out to right. Walker's in right, and I believe Posey is not going to go anywhere. 6+. He is not going anywhere. So not quite deep enough here. And Chicago facing the trouble of having a very slow runner at third here. Ken Boyer steps in. 9. That's ballpark. And a wheelhouse, 88. So wheelhouse grounder to short here. That's going to score Posey for sure. And I believe ground out, wheelhouse. It's also going to push Rollins over to third. So both runners advance on the ground out, but there are 2 down now. And Jim Edmonds steps in. But that's the first Chicago run. The lead now is dropped to 3-1 here. Carlton looking to get out of this one. Patient 73. And Edmonds with the base hit. That will score Rollins. And just like that, it is a 3-2 ball game. Edmonds may be picked off, probably not. Hold rating is 7 and 42. So 42. Where is that? Pick off. Hold rating 7, 42. He's safe. Okay. So no danger there. But we do get back to the top of the order. Lonnie Fry hoping to keep this going with 2 outs here in the 5th. Tough 33. And that's another base hit. This time a single. Another single. Edmonds advances to second. Not able to go any further than that. Keith Hernandez looking to continue and maybe tie things up here. Ballpark. 03 is a wheelhouse, but 94 is going to be way too high. That's a deep drive to right field. Walker at the track, but able to haul this one down. That would have been trouble. And Chicago able to score some runs here and get back into this one. 3-2 now going into the 6th. Lloyd stepping in against Gooden. Gooden has not had too many easy innings. He'll look for one here. Tough 75. Barely past the tough range of Lloyd here. But it is past, and that's going to be another ground out to short. He grounded to short his last time up, too. Rollins hauls that one in for out number 1. Piazza steps to the plate. Tough 84. That's another ground out to short. So 2 straight ground outs, 2 straight outs here. Gets them to the top of the order. Joe Morgan, who has walked all 3 times he's been up to bat. He will not walk this time. In play, 55. He grounds this one to third. And just what the doctor ordered, a 1-2-3 inning. We head to the bottom of the 6th. Score still 3-2. Carlton facing the heart of the Chicago order here. Starting with Sammy Sosa, who's 0 for 2 today. Tough 63. And Sosa with an 0-2 count. Able to fight one off into the gap. And he pulls into second with a double. That brings up Barry Bonds, who's also over 2 so far this game. Chicago now with a man in scoring position, though. Sosa, not a whole lot of speed. Tough 84. It's a grounder to second. Tough, though. And on tough results, I drop their run by 2 for purposes of these charts. So ground out advance to third. 5 or above. The tough means he's not going to. It's a hit right at the second baseman. Morgan looks Sosa back to the bag before throwing over to first for out number 1. Buster Posey steps in. In play, 39. And that's going to be a base hit. 2 is a single to the left. Second to home, single to the left. In play, 7 or above. It's not 7 or above. So Sosa makes it to third, but this jump, here's what I also do. So I look at this jump to see if they go anyway, and he's going to go anyway. So single to the left, that's Stan in left field. He has a 6 arm, and Sosa's run rating is a 6. So that's going to call up the attempt chart. So I'm going to roll 2d6 compared to the runner's run and fielder's arm rating. If it's less than both, so it's got to be less than 6. Oh, equal to or less than both. So equal to or less than 6. We're going to be looking at these two dice right here. It's got to be equal to or less than 6. It is not. It's a 7. So, because it is greater than both, the runner is out. So, Posey with the base hit, but Sosa out at home, gunned down by Stan Musial. That's going to be 7-2. And that's just what St. Louis needed here to stop that run from scoring. Does bring up Jimmy Rollins. Posey's still on first, not able to advance on the throw. Again, Posey with no speed. Tough 59. And that's a grounder to third to end the inning. So Chicago with a chance there, but not able to capitalize on it, as Sosa kind of makes a stupid decision to try to go home on that one. So now Musial, who just gunned Sosa out last inning, gets to come up here in the 7th to bat. Gooden not fatigued yet, even though hasn't had too many clean innings. Tough 18. And that's going to be a double from Musial to lead off the 7th. So just like that, St. Louis has a man in scoring position also. Larry Walker steps in. There is some activity in the Chicago bullpen. They don't want this one getting out of hand. Tough 43, and Walker strikes out. It's the 5th strikeout for Gooden in this game. Duke Snider steps to the plate. He's 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout himself. Tough 26, and that is another strikeout. Gooden coming on strong here in the 7th after that double. Willie Mays. Willie Mays has reached on error and scored in the 2nd. And he hit that sac fly in the 5th. Tough 13, and Gooden strikes out Willie Mays. 3 straight strikeouts there for Gooden to end the 7th. Carlton will face the bottom of the Chicago order here, starting with Jeff Kent. Carlton with a fatigue of 8, so he will not be fatigued until possibly the next inning. But he's also only allowed 2 earned runs, so even then he might not be. Patient 49, and he walks Kent to lead off the 7th. Kent is not going anywhere, but it does bring up Ken Boyer. 11 is a tough 82, and that is going to be a grounder to short. And on 11, runner advances. So Boyer grounds out to short, but moves Kent up to second here, and that brings up Jim Edmonds, who had an RBI single in his last at bat. Tough 71. And that is a double from Edmonds in the gap. That is going to tie this game at 3. Edmonds coming on clutch here with 2 RBI in this game. And just like that, we have a ball game again. Chicago's still threatening here. Back to the top of the order. There is also activity in the St. Louis bullpen. Tough 39, and that's going to be another base hit. This time a single from Fry. Tough is going to lower Edmonds, so he's not going to score, but it does put runners on the corners here. And Fry's not going to try to steal. Brings up Keith Hernandez. 1 out. Corners are going to be in. Middle infielders at double play depth. Defense. And this is not good for St. Louis, as it's a pitcher error check of 12. And that is going to be a one-base error, a comebacker that Carlton can't come up with. That's going to allow Edmonds to score the go-ahead run. So we have runners on first and second now. Sammy Sosa steps to the plate. He doubled in his last at bat. Did get gunned down there at the plate, but now they are ahead 4-3. In play 06. Things are falling apart here for Carlton. And that's another double. So in play, it's a double to left. Double to left. 8+. So Hernandez is not going to go home on this, but it is going to score Fry. And now we have a 5-3 ball game. Barry Bonds coming to the plate. Carlton with still only 1 out. He will pitch to Bonds, but this may be the last batter if he can't get Bonds out. Tough 60. Just above Bonds' base hit range here. Grounder to third. And let's see here. Who's on third? Hernandez was on third. No force. And Chicago not attempting to go here with 1 out. So Schmidt will field that one and throw to McCovey for the second out, and the runners will hold here. And brings up Buster Posey. Carlton trying to get out of this inning. Tough 87, and it looks like he will. That is a grounder to short. Lloyd over to first on this one to end the inning, but not before Chicago gets 3 runs to take a 5-3 lead here in the 7th. We head to the top of the 8th. Gooden struck out the last 3 batters he's faced, and his fatigue rating is 9, so he is not fatigued yet. He faces McCovey. Tough 9, and that's another strikeout. That's 4 straight strikeouts now for Gooden, as McCovey looks at strike 3. Mike Schmidt steps in. Tough 94. He will not strike Schmidt out. Schmidt with a fly out to left. Bonds under that one for out number 2. Momentum has definitely shifted in this one. Lloyd steps to the plate. Wheelhouse 39. That's at least going to be a base hit. And it is. Lloyd with no power. But a solid base hit here. He would possibly be picked off, but not a 77 is going to be. Hold rating of 8. 77, he's safe. Okay. Mike Piazza. Tough 69, and that's going to be out number 3 as it's a grounder to Kent at second. Kent Kent will flip this one to Rollins for the force at second here, since it would have been a double play ball. We head to the 8th. Carlton is now tired, so St. Louis will go to the bullpen. Carlton with 7 innings, not the kind of start he wanted. And they will turn things over here to Dizzy Dean, I believe. Yeah, they'll turn it over to Dizzy Dean. Dean will get his first relief appearance here in Game 1. And he'll face Jimmy Rollins, Jeff Kent, and Ken Boyer. 6 is a tough 62. Now a righty here. 62 is going to be a grounder to third. Schmidt over to McCovey for out number 1. Jeff Kent. Tough 75. This time it's a fly out to center as Willie Mays hauls that one in. 2 up, 2 down. Ken Boyer steps to the plate. Boyer 0 for 3. He did drive in 1 run. Patient 61. Boyer, that's not quite patient enough for him. And that's another fly out this time to right as Larry Walker gets to this one. 3 up, 3 down for Chicago. We head to the 9th. Gooden has come on strong here in these last few innings, but he is fatigued now. So Gooden does get 8 innings of work here, and they are going to turn things over. Well, oops, other way. Oh, it's custom. Number? There we go. They will turn it over to their closer, Billy Wagner. So, Billy Wagner with his first save attempt of the season here. Looked like St. Louis was in control of this one for most of the game, which they were, until things kind of fell apart here in the later innings. He'll face off against Morgan, Musial, and Walker. 3 straight lefties, actually. Let's start with Morgan, who has walked it 3 times today. Tough 35. He's not going to walk this time. That's going to be a double. Double to the gap for Morgan. What a great way to lead off this inning for St. Louis. He's not going to attempt to steal or anything like that. Not at this point. Down by 2 runs. Stan the Man steps in. Tough 1, and he strikes out. Usually did not strike out very often, but he strikes out here. Larry Walker steps to the plate. Patient 42. And that's another double. Just like that, the tying run is on second base here for St. Louis. Duke Snyder, another lefty, with a chance to do something here. He struck out his last 2 times up. Tough 73, but this time it's going to be a base hit. Walker is not going to attempt to score here, as that will drop his... Oh, actually he is. Because of this. So, first of all, that was a tough 73 single. This 2 means it's to left field. And that's Bonds in left. And Walker trying to come home. So Walker trying to tie this game up here. And we're going to be looking at these dice again. If it is 6 or less, let's see what happens. It is not. Once again, base running blunder maybe by St. Louis, as Walker is gunned out at the plate. This time by Bonds. All right. That took the wind out of the sails for the Wizards here. Walker thought he had a shot to make it there. Close play at the plate. And actually, Snyder will not attempt to oh no, 4. Okay. Because I look at that. Snyder will actually advance to second on the throw. So still a chance here for St. Louis as they have a man in scoring position. So the way I play this one is I look at this jump number. If the dice tell me that they don't normally take the extra base, if the jump rating is below their running rating, then I try to take the extra base. And that kind of gets more like outfield assists and stuff in. It just so happened that both times that came up, they were thrown out. So I think the most important thing is just play the game that makes sense to you, and just have fun with it. So that's what I do, even though it's not officially by the rules, if you will. But in any event, we now have 2 down. Snyder's on first. Willie Mays to the plate. Wagner trying to close this one out. Tough 92, and that is going to do it as Mays pops this one to left field, and Bonds takes this one in for out number 3, and Wagner just barely hangs on to this game for the save. Carlton will take the loss on this one. Gooden gets the win. Wagner does get the save, even though a little bit of a shaky ninth for him. And Chicago, who finished in last place in season 1 in the National League, beats the reigning World Series champs, or excuse me, the reigning National League champs, not World Series champs, National League champs. And if I had to give it to a player of the game, I mean, Edmonds, couple of clutch RBI here for him. I don't know. I'd probably give it to him. Both of these RBI, especially this one here in the 7th. I guess that was the first of 3, right? So is this run unearned? Let's see. Walk, ground out, double. That scored him, so that's still 1 out. Single, put runners in the corners. No, that'd be an earned run, because this would have only been out number 2, and that double would have scored him anyway. So I don't know. Maybe Gooden, actually. I think I'll give it to Gooden. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strikeouts here. He had some shaky innings in the beginning, but seemed to calm down there when they needed him most and kind of buckled down to get those outs. So that's where we'll leave things. Let me know in the comments what you thought of that. Hopefully you found that entertaining. Just so you're aware of my schedule. So every week I'm kind of switching off projects here. So I'll do the Payoff Pitch project one week and the Season Ticket Baseball project the next set, if you will. I play 4 games at a time. Well, not 4 games all in one sitting, but I play 4 games of one, then 4 games of the other, and so on. That's my plan, at least for now. So this was the final game of opening day in the Payoff Pitch League Season 2. If you want to follow the action, of course, head over to baseballmaelstrom.com. I do a little write-up on each game. You can see the standings for this league. There's also a tab where you can click and follow the stats for the Best of the Decades, Best of the 1930s tournament using Season Ticket Baseball. And you can also follow the stats for this Payoff Pitch League, which will probably not be updated by the time this video airs, but should be within the next day or so. So be watching for that. And I thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a great evening.